G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Arsehole? Would I be the arsehole for ending gift exchanges with our adult children because I got a terrible gift? This is the first year that our sons, 20 and 21, have significant others to spend the holidays with. As a courtesy, and to make things easier on them, we planned our holiday celebration for the weekend before, and offered to make this a new tradition going forward, so there was no fighting over who went where on Christmas Day. We gifted the oldest and his fiancée a vacation, and our youngest and his girlfriend an appliance suite for their new home. Obviously, these were physically large gifts that couldn't be opened in our home, so I handmade each of them small, personalized ornaments tailored to each of their interests to open after dinner. My oldest and his fiancée bought nothing for my husband and gifted me a used book from a bargain bin. The 99-cent sticker was still on it, and a pack of novelty paper. The youngest, on the other hand, made an elaborate show of gifting my husband an expensive piece of machinery he had been wanting for his garage. Once everyone quieted back down, his girlfriend handed me a grocery bag, declaring to everyone in attendance that they stopped at a gas station on the way to our house and grabbed my favorite snacks. The bag contained a dusty box of Ritz crackers and what I can only assume to be leftover candy from Halloween. At the bottom of the bag was a coffee cup. When I pulled it out, his girlfriend laughed and said, "Oh yeah, my grandma got me that hideous thing. I thought you might like it." I was speechless. Needless to say, I was more than a bit upset and hurt by the whole thing, but I just bit my tongue and started talking to my mum about her Christmas plans. I don't expect them to reciprocate with expensive gifts, but even a personal note or something with some thought would have been nice. Instead, I feel like they purposefully tried to embarrass me in front of the whole family. Hubby is convinced they are just clueless when it comes to the whole gift-giving thing, but I believe it was calculated and malicious. I have always been the planner and gift-giver in our relationship, so I want to drop down the rope on any future gifts. My resolve was hardened even more today when none of them even bothered with a Merry Christmas text or phone call, but hubby says that doing away with future gifts would make me the arsehole. Info, just to answer some of the repeated questions, I am stepmom, not bio-mom, although we have had custody since the boys were 3 and 4. The expensive gifts on our part were not the norm and were given in the 2 weeks prior to the party, so for all intents, we only have handmade gifts for them to open at the party. My entire family was in attendance: dad and stepmom, mum, sister, nephew, and my best friend. In-laws were to have been there as well, but mother-in-law had emergency surgery the day prior. Past gift-giving has always been thoughtful. Mother's Day, I received a mother's ring as a joint gift, and previous Christmas, oldest got me a necklace, and youngest made me an amazing ornament for my tree. Both have been dating their girlfriends for give or take 2 years. This is the first time they have gone to their girlfriends' families and not been with us on Christmas Day. First, I think the reason I felt singled out is because the boys and I have always been close. Hubby even comments all the time that they call and talk to me all the time, and not him. That's part of the reason that I was so shocked. Secondly, the way the youngest son's girlfriend went about it was very deliberate in terms of announcing they stopped on the way here. Almost mean girlish. And now in the comments, sounds like there is more to the story than one Christmas. You gifted a 20-year-old a vacation with his girlfriend. How long have they been dating? Your 21 owns a house with his girlfriend and you gave them an appliance suite. These are huge, expensive gifts. Honestly, they seem too young for gifts of these size. Did you happen to help them own the house? I understand a 20-year-old's being useless, but the girlfriend seems odd. A 20-year-old doesn't want to at least make an effort for her boyfriend's mum? Not even a candle or a scarf. Actively saying she thought that you'd like something she described as hideous. Drop the expensive gift. Give them socks or something, all in something personal. If they complain about no longer having huge gifts, that gives you a hint on how you raised them. Everyone sucks here. I hate this idea that somehow the woman should be responsible for gift buying. It was his mum, and you are going to call the girlfriend odd for not doing the emotional work of picking out a gift for her. No way. No, it's totally normal to tell someone that I got this gift from my grandmother, but I thought it was ugly, but here, you will like it. Smiley face. Not the arsehole. 21 is an adult and old enough to know how to buy a proper gift. Those gifts were horrible, and I don't blame you for not wanting to go through a repeat of that experience next year. I was wondering if this was a prank or something while reading. The book may have been a thoughtless gift, but the crackers and ugly grandma mug comment was exceptionally weird, and very rude on the girlfriend's part. Since OP says she is close with her stepsons, I would suggest speaking with them and letting them know how she felt. And edit, based on OP's edit, the book was a last-minute, thoughtless gift, and the gas station gift was meant to be offensive. OP, your youngest son's girlfriend sounds horrid. A high school dropout bully who refuses to work and is trying to alienate her boyfriend from his family. Your son really lucked out with that one. Not the asshole. Though I think you should continue with the gift exchange, but switch to giving them the same caliber gifts they've given you. It's the thought that counts after all. I've been 21 before, and I remember looking forward to gifts from certain people because I knew they would be good. I doubt they are as clueless as other commenters seem to want to believe. And now on to the update. So I took the advice of a great many of you, and hubby and I spoke to both boys privately. The eldest has legitimately been extremely stressed with his job, and the book was a last-minute grab on his part. Turns out he was embarrassed to admit that he hates the career path that he chose, and was afraid of his dad being disappointed in him. It turned into a really productive conversation about his future, and reassuring him that it is totally fine to change your mind on a career path if it isn't what you thought it was going to be. So yay on that front. Youngest, the girlfriend hates me. Apparently I'm too overbearing because I said she needs to get a GED and a job to help build for their future. She thinks making money playing online games is sufficient. According to her, my beliefs are old and sexist because I told my son that if she didn't want to get a job and he was okay with that, she should at the very least take on more of the chores at their house. He has been working 60+ hours a week and was too embarrassed to admit that he didn't have any money for a gift for me after spending money on her family and her siblings. She told him she would handle it, and he was blindsided by the gas station gift. We talked about things, and his dad offered to return his gift if money was tight, but he refused. Unfortunately, he is extremely enamored with her and doesn't see the negatives in her behavior. She wants him to cut all contact with me since I'm not his real mom. So far, he has told her that that isn't an option. I won't be calling him unless it has been more than a week or two since we have heard from him. I don't foresee a path forward with a girlfriend that I'm comfortable with, so I told my son that I will be polite, but I will not be trying to develop a relationship with her any further, and I am cancelling upcoming get-togethers to give him and me a break. And to address gift giving, ultimately, I am taking the initiative to drop the rope on gift giving. It caused too much stress all the way around, and if it isn't fun and thoughtful, why bother? Hubby and I agreed to revisit things in the event that grandchildren ever come into the picture, but we both hope that that won't happen for quite a while. Our next post is titled, "Am I the asshole for assuming I'd inherit my mother's house?" So my, female 20s mother, raised me and my sister, who's in her 20s as well, as a single parent in a single income household. We have rented our whole lives and grew up low middle class. We never went without food or other essentials, but didn't have the luxuries of many wants. I started investing when I was 17 through my mother, and have been somewhat successful through it. I have accumulated enough money to afford a down payment on a house in our neighborhood/city. I have decided to pursue a second degree at college to further my career and job opportunities, and currently have a part-time job, which is not enough to support a mortgage. I also currently rent with a roommate. My mother and I have an extremely good relationship, and I used to joke growing up with her that when I'm older and have money, I'd buy a house and let her live with me so she doesn't have to worry about her living situation, a mortgage, paying rent when she's older. I told my mother about my plan to buy a house and pitched the idea that I'd give her the money as a down payment and she would pay the mortgage. She has a very stable job now and can afford to keep up a mortgage. The down deposit was the issue as she didn't have enough saved to afford our city. She didn't want to feel burdened to me, but I really want to do this for her. I would move in and contribute some money in rent for utilities and mortgage. It is a beneficial situation for the both of us. Eventually, in 20 plus years when my mum retires, or whenever she wants to retire, I should have a stable career and be able to take over the remainder of her mortgage if she still had one. We were all agreed on this, and both extremely excited about starting the process. I was fine with the house being in my mother's name, but this is where the conflict came up. When I agreed for it to be in my mother's name, it's because I'd still be able to live there, would inherit it in the future, and it would eventually be in my name anyway. My mother disagreed, and said that she would leave it to both me and my sister 50-50. I didn't understand, as my sister was not contributing financially to this house while I was. I told my mother that I would not give her the money for a down deposit if I didn't solely inherit it in the future. She called me selfish for making her leave my sister with nothing, but I disagreed. My sister has never had much focus or priority on her future or career and is quite materialistic. She hardly saves and has a boyfriend who she will 98% marry eventually and have children with. I personally want to be child-free, and knowing my sister, she'll believe that she is more deserving as she'll have a family. Also, if she knew about my mother and I were buying a house but still inheriting it in the future, there is 0% chance that she would save for her own place. She would wait till our mother passed and assume that she'd be able to move into it. Am I the asshole for demanding and assuming that I would inherit my mother's house? And edit, sorry for not clarifying, I would be paying the deposit, plus at least 40% of the mortgage over time. My bank denied my application for a loan. And now in the comments, tough call to be honest, but why don't you save yourself the headache? Put the house in your name and charge your mum rent. OP replies, thank you for the advice. Honestly, I had never considered that. I just wanted her to have the security of knowing that she owned a house. Something that she had always talked about as we grew up. I might have a talk with her about this option though. I think this would be the best option. She still has security, but you retain ownership. OP would be better off saving the money for now. Housing costs are extremely high right now. If they wait till the market drops, you can get a better house for less money and lower payments, assuming they're in the US. Cries in the Australian housing market. Not the asshole. I would never put money into a house without it being in my name. I don't care if your mother agrees with you on everything today, she can change her mind at any time, and God knows what her will says if she has one. And OP replies, I wholeheartedly trust her, but now I'm considering not having my name on the deed. She just knows more about these sorts of things, and I figured it would be easier. Do not trust her. This is a huge investment. Put your name on the house, even if she swears that she will leave you the house in full eventually. If you don't get your name on the deed, you will regret it. Not the asshole. Wait until you can fully afford a home in your own name. Then buy your home and allow mum to move in. And OP replies, my mum wants to buy a house now and is already looking 3 hours plus outside of the city. She wants to stay in the city but is financially scared about not owning a house at her age. I am now seriously considering buying a house in my name, but I don't think I'm as desirable to the bank for a loan as my mother is, as I'm still in school. Her desire to buy a house is hers to deal with. You were generous and she is not matching that generosity. Hold off on the house until you can own it independently. She'll figure out what works for her. You can take care of her in other ways. And OP says, thank you to everyone who commented. It has given me some mixed signals, but I do know that the way that we were going about it was not in our best interest. I will be taking all of your advice in, and will be contacting a financial advisor and/or lawyer if I choose to pursue this. I want to just point this out. The house was never a gift. A lot of people assume that, so I'm sorry for any misconception, but it was always supposed to be our house. I don't think I'll be responding to any more comments for a while, but thank you for all of the advice. And now on to the update. To start this off, I have decided to not purchase a house at this moment. I sat down to talk about this decision with my mum and gave the following requests that would make me comfortable with purchasing a house with her. Both of our names would be on the deed/mortgage with joint tenancy. This would mean that when either of us passed, it would automatically be passed on to the other and not counted as estate. This was the one that I liked the best. I donate a portion of the down deposit, not all, and consider it a gift. After discussing with an estate lawyer and financial advisor, we do it in a very legal way, with signed documents and everything, dictating my percentage, my mother's, a maximum payoff my sister could receive if I wanted to buy her share. I saw this in a comment, etc. And I said that I would only consider this option if my percentage was 51% or above, both names on the mortgage and deed. Or just nothing, and we both do our own thing. My mother took the day to discuss these options and said she didn't feel comfortable not leaving anything for my sister when she passes, and like a lot of you guys said, I realized we just aren't compatible. I tried to tell her why I wanted it this way so I would have financial security in the future, but also so I could help her, but she said that I was being heartless to not consider my sister's future. She tried to negotiate option 3, but at only 50% guaranteed to me. I know that selfishly that is not a beneficial situation for me to be in, but I just can't bring myself to agree to that. I would pay for all of the deposit and then 40% of the mortgage and still get half, even if I didn't do the following. This would also set me back years to buy a house that I would actually own. I was also worried after reading comments that she would go and leave her portion to my sister, making it 50-50 anyway. My mother said that I was selfish for going back on my word and forcing her to choose between me and my sister, and that I should realize I'm a part of a family before seeing her or my sister again. I feel bad for putting conditions on this offer, but this was never a gift or anything like that. It was an opportunity for the both of us to buy a house, but all of our options don't seem to be mutually beneficial. We haven't talked for the past 2 days, and I don't really see the situation having much more closure to this. My plan is to finish school and work for a few years before committing to buying a home, but thank you for all of the advice that you have given me. I'm sad that it ended like this, but hope not too much damage was done in the long run. If you have any further questions, I would be happy to answer them. And now in the comments, your mother is very worried about the prospect of not leaving an inheritance for your sister, yet it seems to have escaped her notice that if you pay for half of the house and end up with 50% while your sister also gets 50%, she left nothing to you. You would be tying up a lot of money for decades, missing out on other opportunities for investment in order to facilitate an inheritance for your sister. I think that you are better off not being a part of this. Save your resources to buy your own home. Yeah, OP's mother was definitely planning on leaving her entire half to the sister. I'm so sorry, but it really is best for you to just buy your own house. One could envision a future where the sister inherited 50% of the house and then demanded that you pay her rent for her half, tried to move in, or tried to force a sale. All of this violates your own security. That sounds like a super tough situation, but you shouldn't feel bad. You are a part of a family, but it was your mother's decision to bring your sister into the deal, not yours. She chose this path, not you. How could you be expected to do all of the work for your sister, who would do nothing, to get half? Your mum is simply being unreasonable. You are still not the asshole. I think that the OP is actually very lucky that her mother made her intentions known before she committed her resources to purchasing a house. The OP was okay with the house being in her mother's name and took it on faith that it would be left to her. Had her mother not disabused her of that opinion, she could well have proceeded with the purchase of the house and then had a nasty shock when her mother died, and at best, she was left with half of the house. At worst, she could have found out the house was left mostly or wholly to her sister, if her mother decided that she needed it more. Her mother could also have left her 50% of the house, but given the sister the right to occupy it for life, in which case the OP wouldn't benefit from the house until old age, if at all, while being on the hook for maintenance costs. Alright, and that's where I'm going to end the story today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, of course, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. I love your faces, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.